$100,000. That's the number people kept whispering about. Word on the street said Big Jook allegedly placed that bounty, and before long, rumors started flying that someone had put one on him too. The tension around Memphis was thick and everybody was watching, but the real shock came later. When Yo Gotti finally stood face to face with his brother inside that cold prison visiting room, what happened next caught everybody off guard. Think about it. Yo Gotti wasn't just another rapper walking in there. This is the Memphis rap mogul who built an empire worth well over $100 million.
It shows on 11/16/2021 at 17:37, 15 hours. Looks like a 331-second outgoing call from Justin Johnson to Anthony Mims.
And you did that much nicer on your slideshow. I just sort of went in and downloaded the actual CDR thing to show all the parts and
CMG didn't just appear overnight. He built that brand from the ground up. So when he stepped into that room, you could almost feel the pressure in the air. He wasn't just visiting family. He was trying to understand exactly what went down. To really get the full picture, you have to rewind the story. Mario Centel Geeden Mims came up from the Ridgecrest housing projects in Memphis, Tennessee, a place where opportunity was rare and survival meant staying sharp every day. Back in the late 1990s, young Mario was already grinding hard. He was pushing underground mixtapes, moving from the streets into the rap game, selling CDs straight out of car trunks before most people even knew his name. Then everything started shifting. His 2012 album Live from the Kitchen helped push him toward the mainstream. And later, when Down in the DM dropped in 2016, the entire culture was talking about Yo Gotti. Suddenly, Yo Gotti wasn't just a local name buzzing around Memphis anymore. He had become a national figure. But what really separated Yo Gotti from rappers who catch one big hit and disappear? The man was building a full empire. Collective Music Group, better known as CMG, officially launched in 2012 and quickly started turning into a serious powerhouse in the industry. CMG began stacking talent fast. Artists like Moneybagg Yo, Black Youngsta, Glorilla, and ESTG all came through the label, bringing massive attention to the brand. With partnerships through Interscope Records, CMG gained real corporate strength, and the operation kept growing. Yo Gotti wasn't thinking small. While many artists focused only on music, he was moving smart with business moves like real estate investments, and even becoming part owner of the DC United soccer team. That's chess, not checkers. But every empire needs a trusted general.
This is a text from Justin Johnson to Jook.
Can you testify about that, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Who are the texts from?
So it's from Justin Johnson to Anthony Mims.
And I know there's more than one text, but I'm concerned about the one on record.
I'm starting with the first one.
For CMG, that role belonged to Anthony Big Jook Mims, Yo Gotti's older brother. Born around 1976, Big Jook was often described as the quiet force behind the scenes. Many people viewed him as CMG's number two, helping with talent scouting, promotions, and street-level connections that kept the label moving. You would often see Big Jook in music videos or on social media, dressed head to toe in designer gear, stepping out of luxury cars with confidence. Around Memphis's north side, he carried a reputation as a big homie, someone people respected and kept their distance from at the same time. But the story didn't stay simple. For years, rumors circled around the city. Some people claimed Big Jook handled the tougher side of business, while Yo Gotti focused on the spotlight and the corporate world. These weren't just random rumors floating around. In Memphis, those stories were part of the culture. People repeated them in barbershops, on street corners, and all over anonymous posts online. The message people kept hinting at sounded simple. Yo Gotti was the public face, but Big Jook was the force behind the scenes. The two brothers shared a bond built through tough years growing up in Memphis. Life in those neighborhoods meant seeing violence early and learning fast that loyalty was everything. In 2020, Yo Gotti even spoke publicly about their relationship, saying, "My brother been my rock. He taught me the game." At the time, those words sounded like respect. Later, they would carry a much heavier feeling. But the game Big Jook helped teach was about to collide with someone just as determined. Enter young Dolph, Adolph Thornton Jr., the face of Paper Route Empire. Dolph represented independence in Memphis rap. He wasn't chasing labels. He was building his own lane. The tension between CMG and PRE reportedly started around 2014 after Dolph allegedly turned down a CMG deal and chose to stay independent. What began as business tension quickly turned personal. Diss tracks started flying, including Dolph's 2017 song, Play with Yo Gotti, which took direct aim at Yo Gotti's reputation in the streets. Gotti's camp responded with their own energy, throwing subtle shots in songs like Designer Party. Some fans thought the tension was just entertainment, a little rap rivalry to boost streams and headlines. But the situation started looking way more serious when real violence entered the picture. In 2017, young Dolph's SUV was hit with more than 100 rounds in Charlotte. Somehow, he survived that terrifying moment. Later that same year, another attack reportedly happened in Los Angeles. And once again, Dolph made it out alive. Street talk quickly started pointing fingers at Big Jook as the person behind it all, but nothing was ever officially proven. Through all the noise, Yo Gotti stayed quiet. In one viral clip, he simply said, "I don't go back and forth on the internet. You're never gonna win."
So we've already discussed all the hardware store and all the other stuff. With regards to, did you all ever try to interview Jook?
Yes.
When did you try to do that?
When we executed a search warrant on his phone
Okay.
when he was at the airport.
Okay. It wasn't annotated that you had talked to him anywhere in the police report, so lead detective said you guys never reached out to him.
Still, the tension between CMG and Paper Route Empire kept growing and became one of hip-hop's most talked about rivalries. Then everything changed on November 17th, 2021. Young Dolph walked into Makita's Cookies in Memphis, and he never walked out. The city went into shock. When court proceedings later began, certain names started surfacing that had everyone paying attention. One key moment involved Justin Johnson. He wasn't viewed as just a random person in the story. In court, the defense attorney described messages and phone contact connecting Johnson with Big Jook, raising serious questions about who might have been communicating behind the scenes. A phone call lasting 331 seconds. That's about 5.5 minutes. Records showed that Justin Johnson made that call to Anthony Mims, better known as Big Jook, on November 16th, 2021, just one day before young Dolph was killed. That timing immediately raised serious questions. What exactly was discussed during those 5 minutes? Prosecutors later pointed to that call as an important detail, but the story didn't stop there. Investigators also examined text messages that were reportedly sent from Justin Johnson directly to Big Jook. According to the prosecution, those messages used coded language and suggested coordination that could point to planning behind the scenes. During court questioning, the defense pushed another point. They asked whether investigators ever fully interviewed Big Jook about his connection to the suspects. Testimony revealed that police did execute a search warrant on his phone at the airport, but there were claims he was never formally questioned in depth. That detail left many people wondering why. Then the courtroom got even more intense when Cornelius Smith, one of the admitted shooters, took the stand. His testimony started revealing how he allegedly became connected to Justin Johnson on the day everything happened. $100,000. That's the number that kept coming up in testimony. According to claims discussed during the case, that was the amount allegedly placed on young Dolph's head. What started as rap tension in Memphis had now turned into something far darker, a suspected murder-for-hire situation that shocked the entire city. Cornelius Smith later testified that he heard about the money through Hernandez Govan, the man prosecutors described as a middle figure connecting different people in the situation. As the trials unfolded, the courtroom began exposing details that pulled back the curtain on a side of the Memphis rap scene many people had only heard rumors about.
So how did you get to be with Justin Johnson this day on November 17th, 2021?
We knew that, he don't Dolph him head or whatever, so.
Who had a hit on whose head?
Big Jook had a hit on Dolph's head or whatnot, so.
How do you know that Big Jook had a hit on Dolph's head?
Quit had told me about it. Quit and just.
How much money was it supposed to be?
$100,000.
Smith took the stand in September 2024 and admitted he was the one who fired the shots that killed young Dolph. His testimony was chilling. He said he received around $40,000 for his role. Prosecutors argued that phone records, meetings, and financial movements connected several people together. According to the case presented in court, investigators believed money moved through Hernandez Govan, with amounts like $10,000 reportedly passing through different hands as part of the larger alleged $100,000 plot. Prosecutors argued the entire plot led back to one place, with Big Jook allegedly sitting at the top of the chain. According to testimony, even after young Dolph was killed, the conversations about money didn't stop. People involved were reportedly still asking about their payment. It sounded less like grief and more like a cold business deal where everyone expected their promised cut. But the courtroom battle got intense when the defense started tearing into Cornelius Smith's credibility. Lawyers questioned nearly every part of his story. They focused heavily on his past drug struggles, arguing that someone dealing with serious addiction might not have a clear memory or reliable judgment. The defense also raised eyebrows by pointing out claims that Smith's legal support had financial connections to individuals tied to CMG. That suggestion sparked even more questions inside the courtroom. Was Smith telling the full truth, or was he protecting certain people while blaming others? Despite those attacks, prosecutors leaned heavily on phone records, text messages, and witness testimony. Together, they argued the evidence formed a tight web that was difficult to break. Then, on September 26, 2024, Justin "Straight Drop" Johnson was convicted, receiving a life sentence that sent shockwaves through the Memphis rap world. Life in prison, plus another 35 years stacked on top. That was the sentence handed down to Justin "Straight Drop" Johnson, making sure he would likely never see freedom again. His legal team quickly filed an appeal, arguing there were evidence problems and procedural mistakes during the trial. Even with those claims, the conviction still stood as Johnson was led out of the courtroom in shackles, facing a future behind concrete walls and barbed wire. Back in Memphis, the streets were buzzing with one big question: would there be retaliation for young Dolph's death? People whispered about it everywhere. Nobody knew if revenge was coming, but the tension in the city felt heavy. Then another shocking moment hit the case. On August 21st, 2025, Hernandez Govan was found not guilty of all charges connected to Dolph's murder. The decision surprised many people watching the trial closely. During the proceedings, Cornelius Smith's testimony ended up shifting attention toward Big Jook instead. That argument helped Govan's defense claim he was being blamed, while the person they suggested was the real organizer was no longer alive to face court. January 13th, 2024.
Now, I want to be clear about, I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I want to make sure, $10,000 to you, you talked about it before, and then he came back to you after the fact and asked you about the 10, because he wanted his money, right?
Around 4:15 in the afternoon, Anthony "Big Jook" Mims was outside the Perignon Restaurant and Event Center in Memphis, located in the Hickory Hill area. The moment happened in broad daylight, making the situation even more shocking. Earlier that day, he had attended a repast, a gathering where family and friends come together to honor and remember someone who has passed away. Security cam even Hernandez Govan, the man once accused of acting as a middleman in young Dolph's case, said he was shocked when he heard about Big Jook's death. In an interview, he described how suddenly it all happened. According to what he shared, Big Jook had simply stepped outside during the repast for a quick smoke break, and moments later, everything changed. The same streets where he had built his reputation became the place where his life ended in broad daylight. As of February 1st, 2026, no arrests have been announced in connection with Big Jook's killing. The investigation is still open, but Memphis police have kept many details private, saying they want to avoid leaks during the case. That silence has frustrated many people in the Memphis community and sparked endless speculation online. Some rumors quickly pointed toward people connected to Paper Route Empire, including names like Key Glock, young Dolph's cousin, but none of those claims have been verified. Then another headline appeared in January 2026. PRE-associated rapper BEO Lil Kenny, whose real name is Kenneth Watson, was arrested after a high-speed chase involving reported drugs and firearms. Social media exploded with theories, but officials have not confirmed any connection between that arrest and Big Jook's case. Eras in the area reportedly captured how quickly everything unfolded. Two individuals stepped out of a white Mercedes-Benz, both carrying weapons capable of rapid fire. Within moments, the attack happened with frightening speed. Big Jook was rushed to St. Francis Hospital, but he did not survive. The news spread through Memphis fast, leaving people stunned. Police later described the shooting as a targeted attack, which matched what many people in the community were already saying.
Where were you at when you heard the news that Jook had passed away, and how did it affect you?
I think I was riding down the street. I got a call, and I just was like, damn, you know, I hated that for Big Daddy, you know. I hate that for anybody that I know, you know.
Investigators released images of the white Mercedes believed to be connected to the incident, but no suspects have been publicly confirmed. Later, Hernandez Govan even spoke about hearing the news of Big Jook's death during an interview after his acquittal. This is where the story takes its most shocking turn. What started as a tragic rap rivalry suddenly turned into something people will be talking about in hip-hop history for years. After Justin Straight Drop Johnson was convicted and sitting alone in a prison cell waiting to begin his life sentence, something unexpected happened that nobody saw coming. Yo Gotti had been watching the entire situation unfold from a distance. Still, every new development hit hard. In court, prosecutors repeatedly claimed that Big Jook was the one behind the alleged $100,000 plot against young Dolph. Hearing his brother's name brought up again and again in that way created a storm of headlines and speculation. For Yo Gotti, it was personal. He had once said, "My brother been my rock. He taught me the game." Now that same brother was being described in court as the person behind a deadly plan. Before Big Jook could ever defend himself publicly, he was killed in Memphis. Since then, the case has remained unsolved, leaving years of questions, rumors, and frustration across the city. The lack of progress in Big Jook's case left many people in Memphis angry and frustrated. Fans, artists, and people close to the situation were all waiting for answers. Around that time, new rumors began spreading about an alleged hit list connected to the earlier conflict involving young Dolph. Court documents discussed in 2025 added even more tension to the conversation. Some reports suggested that Big Jook may have been linked to plans involving other Paper Route Empire affiliates. Those claims sent shockwaves through the rap community and created even more headlines across the industry. For Yo Gotti, the situation carried heavy weight. His brother wasn't just being connected to one crime in public discussion. The allegations painted a much wider picture that damaged his reputation. Whether Yo Gotti believed those claims or felt they were exaggerated, the emotional pressure surrounding the situation was enormous. Then came another surprising development. Not long after Justin Johnson received his life sentence, reports surfaced claiming Yo Gotti managed to arrange a prison visit with him. Exactly how that visit was approved remains unclear, and the details have been the subject of heavy speculation ever since. The official story about that prison visit is still unclear. Prison officials have avoided giving details about how the meeting happened or what the rules were that day. Because of that silence, the story has mostly been pieced together from scattered witness claims and leaked reports that describe a tense confrontation. Inside that visiting room, Yo Gotti reportedly sat across the table from Justin Straight Drop Johnson, the man convicted in the killing of young Dolph. The moment carried a heavy layer of irony. Johnson had been linked to the murder case that prosecutors once argued involved Big Jook, Yo Gotti's own brother. According to reports, the conversation started calm. Two men from Memphis, both shaped by the same tough streets, sitting face to face after years of violence and tragedy that had shaken the city. During the trial, testimony had revealed that Johnson allegedly sent a message saying, "We got him," to Big Jook after the attack on Dolph. Those words reportedly became a key part of the prosecution's argument. But Yo Gotti wasn't there to talk about music deals or the past. The real question weighing on him was simple and heavy.
Because he was at a funeral and he was taking a smoke break, or?
Yeah, he was at a repast, when they going to celebrate, life or whatever. Went outside to take a smoke break, and there it was.
Who was responsible for Big Jook's death? For months, the streets had been filled with whispers about revenge after Big Jook's death. People talked constantly, but no real names ever surfaced publicly. One thing was clear though, Justin Straight Drop Johnson was already locked behind bars when Big Jook was killed, so he couldn't have been the one who carried it out himself. Still, many believed Johnson understood how these street conflicts worked. He knew the players, the alliances, and the long history behind the rivalry that had shaken Memphis for years. Reports about the prison meeting say the conversation between Yo Gotti and Johnson eventually became tense. Some accounts claim Gotti was pushing for answers about his brother's killing. Others say the discussion became heated when certain topics were brought up during the exchange. What is confirmed is that correctional officers quickly stepped in when the situation escalated inside the visiting area. Guards moved fast to separate the two men and restore order. Within hours, rumors about what happened during that prison visit spread across social media and news sites, turning the moment into another shocking chapter in a story that had already shaken the hip-hop world. Yo Gotti was known as the man who built CMG into a massive empire worth hundreds of millions. He had major partnerships with Interscope Records, expanded into real estate, and even invested in professional sports. For years, he carried a polished public image while many believed his brother handled the tougher street connections behind the scenes. But after the shocking prison visiting room incident, everything changed. Suddenly, legal experts and media outlets started debating what charges could possibly come next. Conversations quickly turned to accusations like assault, smuggling contraband, and other serious violations inside a correctional facility. As the story spread, Yo Gotti's legal team reportedly moved fast to protect his reputation. Statements were prepared, and media questions started flooding in. At the same time, investigators began reviewing security footage and gathering witness accounts from inside the facility. For many people watching from the outside, the situation felt bigger than just one confrontation. It looked like the latest chapter in a long and painful rivalry that had already taken several lives and shaken the Memphis rap scene for years. What started as a rivalry between two powerful names in Memphis rap slowly turned into a conflict that kept claiming victims long after the main figures were gone. One ended up buried, another behind bars, and the damage spread far beyond them. The impact on the Memphis community has been heavy, leaving artists and residents caught in a cycle that feels hard to escape. Several musicians connected to the scene reportedly chose to leave the city, hoping to avoid becoming the next headline in a story filled with tragedy. Key Glock, Young Dolph's cousin and one of the standout artists from Paper Route Empire, was among those said to have created distance from the environment after Dolph's death. Memphis has struggled with hundreds of violent incidents each year, and many people in the community worry about how street conflicts keep pulling younger generations into the same cycle. During the trial, Cornelia Smith described a network of connections linking people through neighborhoods, friendships, and long-standing street ties. Those same Memphis streets helped create both CMG and Paper Route Empire, but they have also seen far too many lives lost along the way. For many artists, music was supposed to be the escape route. It was meant to lead away from the streets and into opportunity. But for some people connected to this story, that dream slowly turned into a path that led toward prison cells or tragic endings. Now the spotlight has shifted again, as legal questions surrounding Yo Gotti continue to develop. The entire industry is watching closely, because CMG, one of hip-hop's most successful independent labels, is facing one of the most uncertain moments in its history. Since the news broke, artists connected to the label have mostly stayed quiet. Social media pages went silent, public appearances were canceled, and interviews suddenly stopped. Behind the scenes, people are wondering what the future holds for the label and the artists connected to it. Online discussions have exploded with theories and strong opinions. Some people say a grieving brother might have been searching for answers after losing family. Others argue that years of conflict between CMG and Paper Route Empire created a cycle that kept pulling everyone deeper into tragedy. One thing most people agree on is this: the long rivalry between those camps left scars that Memphis is still dealing with today. Young Dolph lost his life on that tragic day in November 2021 outside Makita's Cookies. The shock from that moment spread far beyond Memphis and shook the entire hip-hop world. Not long after, Anthony Big Jook Mims was also killed outside a Memphis restaurant after stepping away during a repast gathering. 2 lives gone, and the ripple effects kept spreading through the city. Now the spotlight has turned toward Yo Gotti, whose name continues to appear in headlines as legal issues and speculations swirl around the situation. What once looked like an unstoppable music empire is now surrounded by uncertainty, questions, and intense public attention. Memphis has given hip-hop legends like 3 6 Mafia, 8 Ball, and MJG, and Project Pat. But this long conflict left deep scars on the city's music scene and the community around it. When you step back and look at everything that happened, it becomes clear that nobody truly wins in situations like this. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with others, and drop your thoughts in the comments below.